Hey all, today in this session, so in the previous session, we have gone through what is ERP, what is OLTP, what is OLAP, how the ETL process will happen. So all the transactions will be created in OLTP system, right? And once the business hours are completed, after business hours, all the transactions will be copied to OLAP system for business analysis, right? For decision making. Here, they generate reports on top of the operational data, right? On the historical data for decision making. It will helpful for them to make decisions which are helpful in improving the company performance,
improve the business.
right?
Yes.
They should manufacture correct product in the correct time, right? Right?
Yes.
If you manufacture hoodies or sweaters in summer, is that profitable for your company?
No.
All right. So it's a very simple example, but I'm telling you so that they have to identify what is the material, what is the product that is having sales in a particular time period, right? So that they can manufacture their goods by analyzing the previous year's data, right? For that, we have a separate OLAP system. Why don't we run this reporting on OLTP? Because we are going to aggregate millions of records, whatever created in the OLTP system. In the other side, transactions also will be created. Daily regular transactions will be also created in OLTP systems. If you take one bank as example, so bank clerks will use OLTP systems to create the withdrawals, deposits, whatever the loan transactions, credit card transactions, and everything, right?
Yes.
They use OLTP system. And if you are trying to generate reports on OLTP system, what will happen? It's going to hamper that. Like there will be a huge load on OLTP system because we're trying to aggregate millions of records which are created years ago, like maybe 2 years or 3 years record, right? It will consume most of the system resources. The actual transactions will got delay. That's why to avoid that, to improve the performance of the OLTP system, we have a separate OLAP system, which are specifically used for analytics, business analytics, right? So here in the nowadays, since SAP has come up with advanced HANA database, some analytics applications are also running on OLTP. But those are not historical data, but some current data, maybe operational data. We can generate reports on operational data. Now I'll see what is the architecture of the system, SAP system. What is the architecture of the SAP system? How many of you know Gmail?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how to access Gmail?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How to access Gmail?
We need to create an account and log in.
Sorry, what is it?
We need to create an account and log in.
Okay. That is for access.
Yes, sir.
Even to create the account also, first you need to access the Gmail application, right?
Yes. Application.
How you are going to access Gmail application?
Going into the Gmail account, website and clicking the register.
Open the browser and type gmail.com. Then it will display the Gmail application. Or if it is in mobile, install Gmail application so that you can access the Gmail application.
Gmail app.
So
Already
once you log into the Gmail, you are able to see all your emails, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
All email, including pictures, whatever the videos you uploaded, everything you can access. But are these emails and everything stored in your local system?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes?
No.
Yes, sir.
Like whatever the emails you are able to see in Gmail, all of them are saved in your local laptop?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, right?
When we open Gmail only, we can be able to see the all emails.
but all the data, whatever you are able to access, it is saved or it is stored in somewhere in the some database.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
That might be in USA or maybe in Singapore,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? They might,
Yes,
they are going to maintain a data server, maybe a huge server somewhere in USA or somewhere in Singapore, right? To
Yes,
save
sir.
all that data. When you open Gmail, when you click on new, what happens? Or when you click on compose, what will happen?
New template
It will
opens.
display one window, right? It will display one window
yes.
to create email,
Okay.
right?
No.
When you click on compose, it will display one window with all the options to type email, right?
Yes.
Yes.
When you click on send, what will happen?
It will be sending to the recipient.
It will send the recipient, right?
Yes, sir.
So in the email section, in the to section, if you enter some garbage values, is it going to accept?
No,
No,
sir.
sir. Fails. No.
It
So
will
it
be
is
saved as down.
validating. Yeah, it is validating, right? Is it a correct email format or not?
Yes, sir.
If you
Yes.
don't enter a correct email format, it will throw the error. Hey, please enter the correct email format, right? It is validating the data, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And once you click on send, it is sending the email to the receiver, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So when you click on send, how the system is able to understand? So yeah, now I have to send this email. How the system is able to understand that?
By clicking on the button,
By clicking on the button, why it should send email?
That is backend programming.
You are right.
there is an
For
inbuilt
each button, for each option, there will be a
Backend.
logic
Yes.
created in background, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
that logic will trigger and that will send that email to the recipient. That logic in the sense program, some program, right?
Yes, sir.
Now what is the screen? What is the button then? Is there any use of that button?
It's a graphic and visual. Or
Uh,
understand.
It is for visualizing, it's for visualization, right?
yes, sir.
If they display the code, can you understand what is that code? Instead of button, they displayed that backend code, whatever they are executing in background. Can you understand what is that code?
No, sir.
No, right? It's
Yes,
for
sir.
visualization, user friendly. They designed this screen so that you can access Gmail from anywhere
Yes, sir.
throughout the world as long as you have some internet connection, right?
Yes, sir.
So whatever the screen, that is a presentation layer,
Front end.
front end screen, right?
Yes, sir.
No logic will be available, no data will be stored in your system. You can just able to access the Gmail using that front end screen. We can also call that
User
presentation server.
user interface, sir.
User interface. We can also call user interface. So inside the presentation server, by using that user interface, we are able to access your Gmails, which are stored somewhere in USA, right?
Yes, sir.
But the logic, whatever the programs, where the programs are going to be available, is it saved in your laptop?
No.
When you click on
No, sir.
when you click on send, a program is executing, right, to send that email to the recipient.
Yes.
So is that program
Yes,
available in
yes.
your laptop?
No, sir.
No.
Yes.
That program is saved somewhere in the some other server. These programs are available in a different server.
Yes, sir.
That is called
Application.
application server.
Application.
Server. What does the application server contains? Programs, application programs, right?
Yes, sir.
Where the data will be saved, all your emails, images, where that data will be saved. Data will be
Technology.
saved in database.
Database.
It won't contains any programs. It will just store your data. It's just like your hard disk, maybe a pen drive,
Yes, sir.
right? With the help of the programs, we can insert the data into database, or we can read the data from database. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If you click on send, what will happen? So there will be a program in the application server that will execute automatically, and that will
It
send
is floating
that
data.
email to the recipient,
Yes.
right?
Wherein he can retrieve from the database.
Next time, so it sends the data to recipient. Okay, that's it. Next time when you log in, and if you want to check what are the previous emails you sent to the different users, how you are able to find it? You can see all your previous
Set.
emails, right?
Sent items.
Now what the program will do when you click on send, when you click on sent items, what that there will be a program for that sent items, and it will retrieve all the emails from database and display it to you, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Because it
yes.
will create that email in a database table,
Yes,
and
sir.
it at the time of sending it to the recipient, it will also make a copy of that same email in a
Yes.
Sent
database
items.
for future reference. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
There will be a lot of tables in database, so it will save that email in the relevant table, not in all tables, which are relevant for that sent items table. Okay,
Yes.
so to access the data, what is required to access the data in database? Application program. Are
Backend
we going to
application.
save both programs and data in the same server?
No.
No. Application program server is different, and
Database server
database
is
server is
Right.
different. They might place a database server in India. They might place that application server in USA,
yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Now, what is this presentation layer or presentation server?
Means like what we
That
see
the
Huh.
screens.
as
What
The
user
users,
interface.
what
they
we are able to access, the screens, whatever
screens.
the screens we are
What I
accessing,
can
that
do.
is presentation layer, right? We're having GUI screens here, graphical user interfaces screens, for easy access of applications, right?
Yes, sir.
So presentation layer can be anything. Your laptop is one presentation server. When you click on Gmail, it will open Gmail. That's a presentation server. Your mobile
Yes.
phone, Gmail application is a presentation server.
Desktop.
Whatever, right? Desktop,
Yes, sir.
tab, whatever it is, wherever you can access that Gmail, that is a presentation server.
Yes, sir.
When you click on some button, the corresponding application program will execute in the application layer, and it will contact with the database, and it will get the data, whatever you are requesting, and it will display in your screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have a three-tier architecture. What we call this architecture?
Three-tier
Three-tier
architecture.
architecture. The presentation layer is separate, application server is separate, and database server is separate, right?
Yes, sir.
So we are not going to maintain everything in the same system. If you install all of them in your one system, if you install database server, application server, and presentation layer, can it be in the same system?
No.
No,
It
sir.
can be. We can install everything in the same system,
But
right?
yes. Okay.
But you have to consider about the system performance. There will be a huge load
Functionality.
on the same system.
Mm.
When database server is on the same system, application server is also same system. You need to think about the
Performance might.
performance.
Yes,
Performance
sir.
will be, there will be a huge impact on the performance. There will be huge load on the system, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
also, there is
Yes, sir.
one more issue. Let's say there is a damage to your system. You are going to lose everything like database, application programs, and everything, right?
Yes, sir.
If you combine both application server and database server and separate the presentation server,
Then also performance might
then also
affect.
performance might affect,
Like
Yes, sir.
right?
yes, sir.
So for this reason, we separated the system architecture into three different layers. Presentation layer is different, application layer is different, and database layer is different. Okay, everything is a individual system. Server in the sense, just assume it as one system, right? But if you take one organization, system will be like that. Server might be very huge, maybe size of your house.
Yes, sir.
We also call them as data centers. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you one thing. When they set up the data centers, right, they'll consider many factors. The area, like we call as demography, where they are going to set up the data center, they'll consider many factors, right? Is it a safe area or not? Is there any chance of floods? Is there any chance of earthquakes? They'll
Yes.
consider all these things before going to establish their data centers.
Data center.
Because if some disaster happens, they're going to lose all the data, right?
Yes.
So in that case, they'll consider many factors before establishing the data centers. And also there are some policies for each country. They don't allow their citizens' data to be stored in data center which are outside their country, right? For example, if you
Yes.
take this China mobile phone companies, most of them have data centers in China, right?
Yes.
So governments won't allow them to save Indian citizens' data in their China data centers because they can misuse the data.
Yes, sir.
So depending on all these factors, organizations will establish the data centers. Okay. So it's not related to SAP anyway. I'm just telling you. You know what is master data? The data which changes very rarely. For example, if you take employee master data in a company, that changes very rarely. He's not going to change his name, mobile phones, emails very frequently, right? There might be change in address. That too very rare. What is the transaction data? If you take employee example, employee salary, monthly salary or employee attendance, all
Can
these
be
things,
very.
yeah, that might be very, every day they are going to change. So these are called transactional data. If you take uh, bank example, when you are opening the bank account, you are going to provide your master data like your name, phone number, email ID, address, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
they'll assign you a account number. These are all comes under master data. These are not going to change very frequently, right? Your account number, name,
Yes.
so very rare.
Yes, sir.
But your bank transactions,
It might vary.
it will change every day. Whenever you do a transaction, when you withdraw something in the ATM, when you deposit something in your bank account, your account balances and everything will change.
Yes, sir.
So that type of data we call as transactional data. But to create transaction data, what is required? Master data is required. Without master data, you cannot create any transaction data, right?
Yes, sir.
Because without account number, how can you create a transaction? Without account number, on whom account number you are going to deposit, or from whom account number you are going to withdraw, right?
Yes.
So that why first whenever you want to create any transactions, first we need to create relevant master data. Okay. For
Yes, sir.
example, customer account number is one master data, and there is a branch. In which branch the transaction happened? Again, branch master data should also be available. Branch ID, all the branch data should also be available to create the transaction, right?
Yes, sir.
So now comes into ABAP. ABAP is the 4th generation programming language. So we use ABAP to enhance or create custom applications in SAP. So now we'll just see like how we're going to access the SAP system and how we access the development transaction codes and everything. So these are few keywords in SAP ABAP programming. If you see these keywords, all of them are very familiar, right? which we use in real life, correct?
Yes.
Data, constant, write, move, read, all are general words, right?
Yes. Yes.
So this is what the SAP server. So I'll give you the credentials to log in. But for now, I'll show you how the server will work. So this is called SAP GUI. You can see this symbol in the system. You can also install in your laptop or you can access it in a remote system. Okay. So this is the SAP GUI. We call this as SAP GUI and we configure all the systems here. Give me a minute.
We can't hear you, sir.
Sorry. So this is SAP GUI. To access like any SAP application that might be functional or maybe technical SAP ABAP applications, we have to use same GUI. Here, all the servers will be configured. That might be development, testing, production, whatever the server, all those will be configured here. By using these servers, we can log in into the system. For that, we need user credentials. Every user should have a login, and this is the system configuration. I'll show you how to create the configuration. So could you please mute? There is a static noise. So by selecting the server, double click. So it will display the screen to log in. Enter your username. Enter the password. You can log in into the system. So you can see some language here, right? So what is the use of this language? SAP will support multiple languages, right? SAP will support multiple languages. If you enter EN, the SAP system will be displayed in English language. If you, for example, enter Japanese language or German language, the system will be available in that particular language. So that users from different countries can also SAP. Okay? Because if you go to some Saudi or Japan, Germany, they won't use English. They will use their native languages, right? So that's why SAP is available in different languages. When you are login, you can provide the language as input. Okay, so that you can see system in that language. So now I have entered English, so all the options are available in English language. Okay, so this is the initial screen, the first screen, whatever available in SAP. To access applications, what we need to do here? We need to execute the transaction codes. Every application in SAP will have a transaction code, one code. Okay, that might be development applications or functional applications. Everything will link with a transaction code. Each application will link with a transaction code. By using this transaction code, you can call that specific application. For example, creating purchase order or creating sales order. VA01 is to create the sales order. By using this transaction code, what you can do? You can create a sales order. Yeah, it is a command prompt. You can type here. You can type the transaction code VA01. Am I using any prefix like any separator or anything before this?
No.
Because it's an initial screen. Because it's an initial screen. This is a create sales order transaction code. Now I am in a create sales order transaction code. Now I want to open some other transaction code. Create purchase order. What I need to do? ME21N is to create the purchase order. It's not working here. I have to use /O ME21N because I'm already in a separate transaction code. To navigate to the new transaction code, I have to use /O so that it will keep the transaction as it is and it will open one more session with the new transaction code. If you see, sales order creation is already here and it's opened one more screen. That is purchase order create. Now if you want to open, now I want to close this current application and open the new application. What I need to do? /N. /N will close the current application and will open the new application. ME23N. This is to display the purchase order. Okay. It closed the current application and opened the new application. /N. /O. It will keep the current application and open the new application. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So whatever you are typing is a transaction code. SC38 is a transaction code. It is a development transaction code. ABAP developers can create programs, new applications in SC38. Okay, but when you are in this initial screen, you don't need to use /nr/sc38. You can directly type the transaction code and click on enter. It will open that application. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so as a ABAP developers, we are going to focus on development transaction codes, and again we need to use functional transaction codes also to test our applications. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
And if you want to see the servers or database, what we are using for this system, you can go to system status. You can go to system and status menu. You can see the database server and everything what we are using here. Go to the initial screen, go to system status.
Okay, sir.
So host operating system means it is application server. This is application server. On which operating system it is running?
Linux.
Linux operating system. It is a server IP maybe. Okay, so it is a application server. This one is the database server.
Database.
What is the database server you are using? HDB means HANA database.
Database.
This is the server maybe version 2.0, right? These are the details you can see here. So this is the application server and this is the database server, right?
Yes, sir.
You can see the versions, the system versions here somewhere. These are all the servers versions, whatever applied to this SAP server. So this ABAP version, right? 7.5. 7.5 is the current SAP S4 HANA version. Okay, SAP ERP version. Okay, it's called ABAP version. So as I said, we have to use a separate transaction code for each application. Okay, so we are going to work through all different transaction codes and applications in the next session. Okay.
Yes, sir.